Hello, my beautiful people. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Goretti and I am the counselor at Butterfly Project. Today, hopefully this will be a quick video. I just wanted to talk to you guys about fear. And I know I did a video a few months ago on fear, but this actually is kind of a different approach to looking at fear. That video was more a lot to do with the pandemic and just fear in general, but this is a little bit more specific. So let's get into it. Now, the reason I am doing this actually is because, whether you follow astrology or not, science definitely has shown, because humans are made up of, essentially mostly water. I think they're saying like 80 something percent now. The moon kind of, affects water, oceans, things like that. Science has shown that we definitely are affected by things that are happening with the moon. So when we have things like the full moon, which it was yesterday, August the 1st, so I'm recording this the next day, but it's still very much potent energy. And so science has kind of already shown us that we are affected by this. Ask anybody that works in a hospital, for instance, as an example, and they will tell you the birthing center is insanely busy during a full moon, just before and during and just after. Same thing, with, police and firefighters. They will all tell you that things get a little crazy around the full moon, right? So we are all definitely affected by it. And this is kind of why I wanted to talk about this. And those of you that do know about astrology or are interested in it, this, will really kind of resonate with you. So fear, I know some people think it's just an acronym, but it really is true that fear is just false evidence appearing real. And the reason for this is, centuries ago when we were living in the wild, the ego was there to help protect us, right? We were supposed to survive. So the ego was there to put fear into us when we were facing, starvation or facing getting eaten by, an animal or something like that. So it had its purpose. But in today's world, right? So if we have a fear, for instance, of failure, the ego comes in and basically says, you're going to die. Right? It's the same as getting eaten by a bear. Like, you're going to die if, you have to face this fear. So although we can appreciate the ego trying to protect us, it still serves a purpose. Like, don't walk across the street, that car is going to hit you, right? Those kinds of things. But it doesn't serve a purpose when it comes to other areas of our life. Okay. So connecting the moon, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but connecting the moon to fear, the moon does play with our emotions. It brings up a lot of stuff. The moon, if you notice with the full moon, and I'm talking about the full moon specifically, but the full moon really is like bright and illuminates things. And we're actually, this August 1st full moon is called a super moon. So it has way more potent energy, and it's way brighter, bigger. If you notice, if you go out, you can still see it, tonight or tomorrow, you'll still see it quite full and bright. And so it illuminates things. It shines light on things in the darkness, right? So it kind of brings up these, issues from our past, things that we need to like revisit and get rid of. And a lot of it has to do with fear. Okay, so let's get into it. This is not going to be for any kind of deep childhood, past, very serious or major traumas. Okay, so when I'm talking about fear, I'm talking about the smaller fears. I mean, they can still seem really big, right? But I'm not talking about things that you need to do deep therapy for, okay? And I mean, any kind of therapy, of course, is going to help with, even these other fears that I'm going to talk about, but I'm just trying to separate so that you guys know this is kind of more generalized stuff and not those deep traumas. Okay, those we definitely need to go a little deeper with. So I'm talking about more like things, fear of success, fear of failure, fear, of making a mistake, of not being perfect, fear of trying new things, fear of public speaking, fear of getting hurt when it comes to relationships, and things like that. So that's more what I'm talking about. Okay. So if we take a look at this, here's the ego comes in, it'll pull up everything that the ego uses to kind of bring those fears to you are actually in your subconscious mind. So they were planted there. The ego can't use anything other than what is in your subconscious mind, right? Because it's a part of your mind. So anything from your childhood, anything from your past, anything that you've experienced essentially that's in your subconscious mind, the ego is going to use that. Okay. So for instance, let's say you tried something new and it went really bad, in your childhood. Well, now you're going to have this fear of like trying new things, like it's not going to work out. Or maybe, you failed at something that you tried. So now you have this fear. Or maybe you're so used to living in lack and, things always going wrong that when things start to go right, you start to kind of fear success, right? Maybe you were kept small a lot during your life, or growing up. Another one could be, fear of getting hurt. Let's say in past relationships, you've been hurt, or, maybe you were taken advantage of, whatever it is, now those hurts come up when you're trying to get into a new relationship. Fear of maybe making a mistake. And so, people who are perfectionists, and I used to be, so I totally get this, but you have this fear of like, if it's not going to be perfect, like it's an all or nothing, I can't do it, right? So these are all fears coming through. The thing with fear though, false evidence appearing real, it is just our imagination. It's the ego amplifying these things and growing it, kind of like that balloon analogy I've used before. It's, this is great for us to, write books, make movies, do art, like all these things that we use our imagination. That's awesome. Humans, have this ability. Great. But it's not going to help you succeed or move forward in things or have the desires that you want in your life. And so we do need to kind of take a look at this. So our imagination really grows this bubble, kind of like a balloon, right? It just keeps growing and growing and growing. It takes this little fear and it grows it. And so we need to poke holes into that balloon to deflate that fear. Okay. And how we do this, it could be baby steps. It could be taking big steps, but really the only way to deflate the fear is to face it. Okay. That is the only way to get rid of those fears. It's kind of like the boogeyman, right? Monster under the bed when we were kids, turn the light on. Oh, we just saw there's no monster, right? It's the same idea. So first of all, you need to get really clear. What exactly is the fear? Take a look at where it comes from. So that will help you realize that, okay, just because I messed up in the past with this, maybe it's a new career, doesn't mean I'm going to mess up this time, right? So if we can kind of face that fear, turn that light on, right, on the monster, it's taking a look at the fear and saying, okay, that was in the past. Variables are different. I'm a different person. This is a different situation. And you can apply this however it resonates, right? So it could be for relationships. Just because you got hurt by somebody in the past doesn't mean this person's going to hurt you, right? Just because you failed at that relationship in the past doesn't mean you're going to fail at this one. So just because you made those mistakes in the past doesn't mean you're going to this time. Take a look. The next step would be take a look at all the variables, right? Even if you have to write it down, kind of like, how we do pros and cons lists, write down like in the past, here's why this didn't work. Here's why I messed up. Here's why I failed. Here's, take a look at that. And then now look at this situation. What's different? How am I different? Is this, job, the company different, right? Maybe it's something I failed in the past because I didn't have enough practice or education, right? Now I do. So come up with the things that poke the holes in that inflated balloon of imagination with the ego, bringing up all these fears, turning a little fear, or even if it was a big fear, just like amplifying it and just blowing it up, basically, right? So take a look at it, poke those holes, squash that fear. And we do it, I always tell my clients, right? Awareness is key. If we can be aware of something, now we can change it. And then knowledge is, power, right? And so when you have this knowledge, like, okay, this fear, just because it happened in the past, my ego's trying to help me. I get it. Thanks, ego, but I don't need your help right now. I'm going to squash this fear. I'm going to face it. That's how we're going to poke the holes in. I'm going to pull it apart. I'm going to look at, okay, this situation in the past was very different than what I'm experiencing right now, right? It's a different time. It's a different place. It's a different situation. It's a different person. I'm a different person. I have more experience in this or whatever it is. Apply it how it resonates for you, okay? So this is how we kind of deal with these fears, and just taking a look at them, facing them, head on, turning that light on, right? Shining the light. This is the moon energy, shining the light on those fears and, coming up with why is this fear there, right? Where did it come from? And then taking a look at it and poking the holes in it and telling your ego, as you're doing this, you're sharing with your ego, like, here's why I don't need to be afraid of this. Here's why, this doesn't have to be a fear. Here's why I don't need to be scared. Okay. And that can calm the ego down. Then the ego is like, okay, I don't have to protect you, because essentially that's what it's trying to do. So it's trying to be your friend, right? But it's not always our friend, right? Especially in these situations. And the other thing I just want to mention, and I did do a video on like life is too short, and the biggest kind of message I wanted to include in here is if you allow your fears to take over your mind, if you just kind of let it run the show and not, be consciously aware and not take your power back and say like, no, this is not the same. I'm not going to have this fear. If you don't face that fear and you let your ego run the show, what's going to happen is you're not going to have these desires. Like literally, it is kind of stealing your joy. It's stealing your success. It's stealing your, happiness. It's stealing your, getting your wishes or desires, right? It's stealing this from you. These fears are what stop us. So what separates people from having what they want and people that don't? A lot of times it's not even the work that we put in to something. A lot of times it's just this one person didn't allow fear to get in the way and stop them. And then this person over here did. So fear literally can stop you from having what you want, having the success, having your desires, having your dreams, right? Whether it's a job, a relationship, your health, whatever it is, apply it how it resonates to you. But if you allow fear to get in the way and take control over you, then that's kind of stopping you from living your best life, right? And life's too short to allow fear to get in the way. So during this full moon season, and we're having another one actually at the end of this month. So it's another opportunity. Take a look at what fears are coming up and do all the stuff I've mentioned and face those fears and just squash them, get them out of the way so that you can move forward and succeed in whatever area of your life you want to go forward in. All right, my loves. So I hope this was helpful for you. Thanks so much for being here. Do all the things, like, share, comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And if you do want to work with me, there is information in the description box that you can contact me with. All right, my loves. I wish you guys all peace, love, and light. Until next time. Bye-bye.